Hey guys, welcome to day 2 of Doing It video week. It is April now, which means my book Doing It is out this month. You can pre-order it now and it is out on the 6th of April. Also, on the 6th of April, on book publication day, I'm going to be doing a live stream. The live stream will be on Thursday, the 6th of April, between 4 and 5 p.m. British summertime on this YouTube channel. I'll be tweeting out links and all of that good stuff, and I will be answering your questions about the book for an hour and just talking about the process of writing it, plus some special guests who contributed to writing some of the pages in this book will be there. So if you can come along to that, it would be a great way to celebrate publication day. And also the week after publication, I'm going on tour. London is sold out, but there are still tickets for Birmingham and Manchester on the 12th and 13th of April. In this video, I thought I would talk about my library of sex books. I went through my bookshelf behind me and picked out all of the non-fiction books that I own about sex and relationships. I have read some other books that I don't own, and they were mostly academic books that I read for my degree because I specialised in sexual history. But these books are the ones that I own, and I've split them into read and to read. Unfortunately, the to read pile is slightly larger than the read pile, but I've made a promise to myself that by the end of 2017, no matter how many books about sex and relationships I own, I will have read over half of them. This is my new goal that I have just set, because who needs New Year's to set goals? Okay, so I'm going to go through the ones that I have read first of all. Firstly, I have 2 books in the School of Life series: How to Think More About Sex by Alan de Botton and How to Choose a Partner by Susan Killiam. These are great little philosophical starters on the topics of kind of like sex and relationships. I read these quite a while ago. I can't actually remember the ins and outs, but they're just such cute little books. Also, the School of Life have a really great YouTube channel. Next is This Book Is Gay by now Juno Dawson. Juno is trans. She recently came out as trans. And this is basically an amazing little book all about LGBT stuff. It's got loads of cute illustrations in it, and it explains loads of terms and also just gives loads of help and support and advice to young LGBT people and allies. I think this is a really good 101 introduction for teenagers and parents into this whole world. Also, great title and great cover. This Book Is Gay. Speaking of gay, this is one of the books we read for the Banging Book Club last year. It is A Little Gay History, Desire and Diversity Across the World by R.B. Parkinson. This book basically accompanies an exhibition at the British Museum, which has loads of objects from history and around the world relating to same-sex desire. The book basically takes you through loads of different historical objects and things that relate to same-sex desire, and also give you a brief overview of the history of homosexuality, and I just find it really fascinating, and it's a super small book and it's dead easy to get into. This is another one we read for Banging Book Club last year. It is Vagina, a new biography by Naomi Wolf. This book was just fascinating to me. It's basically all about the vagina, which is great. There's lots of scientific studies in here, but also a lot of anecdotal evidence. And then the author also goes on lots of interesting vagina adventures and meets interesting people. I will link in the description the podcast that we did discussing this book last year if you want to hear more. Another Banging Book Club read from last year was Bonk by Mary Roach, The Curious Coupling of Sex and Science. In this book, Mary Roach basically takes the reader on an exploration of loads of different sex research and loads of different sex experiments. So that was really interesting to see all of the different studies that have been done, and she kind of talks through them and then meets the people doing them and stuff like that. This book is a lot more sciencey than Vagina. Vagina has a lot of kind of historical and literary things in it as well. This one's much more scientific. And also Mary Roach's voice in this is really funny. I will put the podcast to where we discuss this book in the description too. And finally, in the books that I have read pile, we have Modern Romance by Aziz Ansari. Aziz is a writer and a comedian and an actor. For this book, he talks to a lot of people, does a lot of interviews, research sessions, group research stuff, interviewing people all about their relationships and romance of all different ages. So it's really interesting, the comparison between how people relate to romance and how people meet people now than they did 30 years ago, the generation before. It's just a really interesting look on modern relationships, and I would highly recommend you watch his Netflix show Master of None, because even though that is fiction, I feel like a lot of the themes and the things that he learned from writing this book play out in the characters' storylines in that show, which is why I feel that show is so well executed, because it's backed up by a lot of research and actually how people are nowadays. But yeah, great book. Okay, now we move on to the books that I haven't read that have been sitting on my shelf forever. First, we have Sexuality, A Very Short Introduction by Veronique Motier. And actually, I have read some of this. I can't remember if I've read all of it. This is a thing. But I definitely have read some of this. And it's so small, I really should get on with it and finish it. This is part of Oxford University Press's A Very Short Introduction series, which are great if you or a Ravenclaw. Next we have Henry Miller, The World of Sex. I just picked this up because I saw it in a bookshop and it was probably really cheap, and I was just like, yeah, I want that, it's got the word sex in it. But this was written in 1940. That's really exciting for me because obviously I studied sexual history. I love hearing about how people thought about sex in the past. So yeah, another tiny one that I really should read. The Sexual History of the Global South, Sexual Politics in Africa, Asia and Latin America. This is an academic book filled with loads of different essays from different academics. I know it's not going to be like a casual read, and I haven't read like a real academic book since I graduated, so this should be a treat. I'm excited though, because most of the sexual history that I have learnt about has been Western, European and US, and so I'm really excited to kind of learn about parts of the world that I really should know about. On the academic front, this is Ethics and Sex by Igor Primoratz. Funny story, there was a module on offer at my university for philosophy students called Sex and Ethics, and I couldn't take it because I was a history student and I could have taken it as elective, but I needed a philosophy credit from first year if I was going to do this module in second year. So basically I couldn't take this course, and I was like, but one of my friends took the course and I was like, what's your reading list? Can you send me a reading list? Because I'm a massive nerd. And I had a look at the reading list, and this book basically was across all of it. Like, this was like the main one. And so I bought it for myself, and it has been on my shelf ever since. Then we have Animal by Sarah Pascoe. The autobiography of a female body. I'm kind of expecting this to be similar to Vagina. Sarah Pascoe is a comedian, and we actually did a video together on my channel a while ago, and I feel so bad that I haven't read her book yet. I'm so sorry, Sarah. But yeah, she is hilarious and I'm really excited to read this. Next, A Billion Wicked Thoughts, What the Internet Tells Us About Sexual Relationships. Someone mentioned this book to me so long ago and I was just fascinated by it, and then I bought it and yeah, not read it yet. From what I understand, it's just all about what you can learn about people's sexual preferences through Google search, like through all the different things that people search on Google. So it's like two of my favourite things: the internet and sex. To read, must read it, Hannah, god damn it. Here's one that I am definitely going to read this year because it is on our Banging Book Club reading list for 2017, and it is Come As You Are by Emily Nagoski. I saw Emily talk on a panel at the Women of the World Festival last year. I bought this book and I got it signed by her. It's the surprising new science that will transform your sex life. I feel like this is probably going to be like an updated version of Bonk, but then I like the it will improve your sex life thing. So it's kind of like all of this scientific research about sex, plus maybe a bit of self-help. I'm very excited about this. So yeah, Banging Book Clubbers. I can't remember what month we're reading this in, but we are reading it this year. Next, and I can't believe I haven't read this book yet, but Everyday Sexism by Laura Bates. I'm sure most of you will have heard of the Everyday Sexism project started by Laura Bates. If you haven't, just follow Everyday Sexism on Twitter. It will change your life. It will change your perspective on all of the things. If you didn't believe that we needed feminism and you didn't believe that sexism exists, just follow that Twitter account. I don't actually know what's in this book. I'm assuming it's just lots of stories from people about their experiences with sexism and everyday sexism and like encounters with that. So I really should read this. Laura Bates actually has released another book since publishing this called Girl Up, which is also meant to be incredible. Next we have Sex at Dawn, How We Mate, Why We Stray and What It Means for Modern Relationships. This book was actually recommended to me by one of you guys in the comments on a video that I did with Theo about monogamy, because apparently this is the book that talks about how monogamy is not inherently or naturally or biologically a human thing. And the whole debate around natural monogamy in humans and stuff is something that I'm really interested in and I want to learn more about. So very excited to read this. Next we have The Victorian Guide to Sex, Desire and Deviance in the 19th Century by Fern Riddle. This was actually given to me by a friend of mine who knows Fern, and he was basically like, you did your dissertation on Victorian sex manuals. My friend wrote a book about Victorian sex. You should know each other and you should read her book. Still not read her book. Whoops. But again, it's really short, so I should really read this, and also it is like in my field, so I'm excited. Next we have Spinster, Making a Life of One's Own by Kate Bollock. This has been recommended to me so many times by so many different people, and I was really excited about reading it and I felt like I needed it in my life. But now that I'm in a relationship, I'm like, should I still read this? I don't know. Would it be really weird if I read this now? Like, yeah, I'm in a relationship and I'm like, yeah, how to make a life of one's own. Yeah, Spinster, I probably should still read it, but I feel like I've missed the moment in my life where it would be most useful to me. And finally, The Birth of the Pill, How 4 Pioneers Reinvented Sex and Launched a Revolution. I'm assuming this is another kind of like sexual history book, which excites me. Also because of the hormone diary stuff that I'm doing and all of the talk around the pill and hormones in the media recently. I feel like this is something I should read. It would just be interesting. But yeah, excited to read that. And that is it. Those are all of the books about sex and relationships that I own in my library. I have read 7 of them, and there are 12 that I have not read. Oh, well, I've read 8, if you include this book. Although I actually technically haven't read this version of it. I've only ever read it in like a Word document. Thank you so much for watching. I hope maybe this has inspired you to add some books to your reading list that are about sex and relationships. Don't forget to pre-order my book or buy it once it comes out on the 6th of April, doing a live stream on the 6th of April 4 until 5 p.m. and you can get tickets for my tour, link in the description. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye!